Some kid who had an affinity for computers and games like Minecraft. But in 2013, Breck and his family's life would turn upside down and implode when a predator from the internet wriggled his way into Breck's personal life. 18-year-old Louis Daines had begun a friendship online with the 14-year-old Breck through online servers of the game Minecraft, and later they would interact on TeamSpeak, which was basically Discord before Discord. Louis had been running a hosting company providing servers for players within the game, where he encountered Breck and they quickly became friends in the summer of 2013. Louis would basically become the ringmaster, and all of the other boys he played games with kinda worshipped him in a way, because he was older and had influence. However, things would get weird fast, as it's believed that Louis started manipulating the younger boy along with other children, claiming that he was a computer genius who worked for the United States government. He claimed that he later moved to Greenwich, England, where he gave £2 million that he had made through Bitcoin to Syria, due to his distaste for American politics, apparently. Just basically posturing for the young impressionable minors with lies so they thought he was cool. But soon his acts would grow more nefarious and malicious, influencing Breck into becoming anti-government and anti-religious, and this would lead to Breck turning against his family as well.
Daines was changing all of his ideology, and Breck would use specific phrases all the time. Well, Louis says, I don't believe in God, so why should I have to go to church? Louis says I don't make any messes, so why should I have to clean up? Louis says I can get a Microsoft apprenticeship through him, and so I won't have to finish school. And it always had this preface that Louis said, and I was like, God, who is this person?
You see, Daines had portrayed himself as someone who could aid Breck's career, taking him under his wing and basically grooming him into a successful computer whiz and businessman like he was, who'd have the ability to get a lot of wealth. Breck took the bait hook, line, and sinker and was incredibly influenced by Louis. In fact, it got so bad that Louis even wrote letters pretending to be Breck that Breck would give to his mother. At some point, his mother, Lauren LaFave, began to grow worried about her son and his relationship with this older online friend. There were times where she even established a communication with Louis, talking to him through their computer, and during this he'd be super polite and understanding. But Lauren would later describe him as two-faced, because the moment their conversations would end, he'd go right back to trying to manipulate her son against her.
And I did try to talk to this Louis guy, I actually did, and he's sort of two-faced, so we'll talk, but then afterwards, he'll just turn on me again.
There was even an instance where Louis attempted to dictate Lauren's parenting, which made the mother extremely frustrated.
It got so bad that I said, well, I just need to talk to him. And we went back and forth on live messaging with Louis telling me how to parent Breck. And at the end of the conversation, I got fed up. I said, why are you telling me how to raise my son? I said, Breck has told me that your parents weren't there for you, but I am there for Breck, and everything that I do is because I care about him and I love him.
She saw a dangerous pattern and at one point decided to take Breck's computer away along with his phone. But when she had his phone, she started noticing texts of Breck's friends telling the boy to, quote, be calm and don't listen to your mother. This absolutely terrified her, and she felt it best to dial the authorities in England and make sure they knew what was going on. So on December 17, 2013, she proceeded to make a call to the local police and report her concerns, where she made it clear that her son was being groomed for what she thought was sex. And she also felt that her son was being radicalized.
Good evening, sorry please, how can I help?
Yes, I have a 14-year-old son, and there's an 18-year-old person, and I feel like he's being groomed. He's being turned against his family and schooling, and it's been ongoing for a while, and I'm getting really concerned that this person isn't actually who he says he is.
The operator would tell Lauren to make sure Breck had ceased all communication with Louis and instructed her to tell Louis to no longer contact her son and warn the older man that she had gotten in touch with authorities. The operator also said that in the meantime they were going to cross-reference the name she was given to see if there were any criminal records on Louis Daines, but reportedly the authorities would not follow up and things were beginning to get much, much worse. It seems that if they had searched a little deeper into Louis Daines, they would have found that in 2011 there was a complaint filed against him accusing of raping a boy under the age of 16. It was reported that Louis Daines was a secluded 18-year-old man who had spent time in foster care and spent his life living back and forth with his mother and father, and was now living alone after procuring a small amount of wealth. He would be accused of rape and sexual assault. but would never be convicted for these crimes. However, the charges did remain on his record. Although Breck's mother did everything in her power to separate her son from this despicable manipulator, the relationship between Breck and Lewis would unfortunately not stop, as they would continue to play games with one another behind Lauren's back, and in fact, the two even became closer over time. Closer to the point where they would meet in real life, due to Lewis creating this scenario where he was prepared to hand his multi-million-dollar company over to Breck so that he could run it. But for him to do so, they would have to meet in person, and that's where things took a sinister turn. On February 17, 2014, Breck would head out to Grays, Essex by way of taxi paid for by Lewis, and the destination was the man's flat. This is, of course, something he did not tell his family, because if they knew anything about this, there would be no way in hell they'd let it happen. Breck had led his father to believe that he was hanging out with a local friend and was going to spend the night. And this was a story constructed by Lewis and given to Breck. He wanted him to repeat this story. Quote, "If your father asks where you're going on Sunday, say you're going to meet a friend who's 14 named Edward Bly and moved to Cairo last year with his mother when his parents split up. He was a good friend for the first part of year 9, and he's invited you over to his dad's house for the day while he's visiting his father in England, who lives in Caterham. His father also said that you might be able to stay the night depending on their plans. Also, in casual conversation, to have your father afford more support for you visiting a friend, say, I've spent too many half terms and holidays indoors. I'm going to spend this one outside with friends. That should help him understand and allow you to go." I mean, this is like textbook grooming, dude. Bro studied Epstein. The precise details of what happened within Dane's flat may never truly be known, but there reportedly was evidence of some sort of sexual interaction. And afterwards, Lewis proceeded to use duct tape to bind the boy's wrists and ankles, where he then took a knife and stabbed Breck in the throat, killing the innocent 14-year-old. But that wouldn't be all the guy did. Danes then took pictures of his sinister work and sent them to his online associates. These pictures would soon begin to spread to different friend groups online, and thus Breck's mother and father found out about their child's death when those photos were sent to them by other children. While pictures of his atrocious acts were spreading, Danes took a shower and calmly dialed the police to tell them that he had stabbed Breck while trying to stop him from taking his life, he says.
Essex Police Emergency.
Hello. I need police and a forensics team to my address, please. My friend and I got into an altercation, and I'm the only one who came out alive.
Are you telling me you've killed somebody?
Yes, I am.
Right, and who am I speaking to?
My name is Lewis Danes. I'm 18 years old. He came to stay with me because he was feeling down. Adjacent to my bed, I have a chest of drawers. I had a penknife on there. He picked it up, opened it, and then lost control. I grabbed the knife and I stabbed him once in the back of the neck, I believe somewhere near the brainstem. I don't remember exactly what happened, but the fight ended with me cutting his throat. I believe I turned around and I slashed his throat.
When officers arrived at the location, they found that Lewis had submerged his computer equipment in water to hide evidence, and found Breck laying lifeless and bloody in the bedroom. During the investigation, authorities would find that Danes had purchased condoms, syringes, and duct tape online a month before the killing in preparation for Breck's visit, and even gave Breck a cell phone so that they could keep in contact with the false alibi just in case his parents became suspicious. Danes would eventually plead guilty in January 2015. Lewis Danes was convicted of murder and ordered to serve a minimum of 25 years in prison. If you ask me, that's light. The man shouldn't be able to see the light of day for the rest of his life. The murdered boy's mother would comment, "No amount of years behind bars will ever change the poisonous attitude and actions of a psychotic animal who can behave this way. No amount of years will bring back the lovely boy taken from us." It would also be revealed that Lauren's son had been murdered on her own birthday. Now, it wouldn't end here. Although prisoners are banned from communicating via social media and mobile phones, many began witnessing what appeared to be Lewis Danes blogging from behind bars. These blogs were open letters criticizing Lauren's behavior after her son's death. The first was an online blog that was allegedly posted by Lewis or someone pretending to be him in November of 2015, stating that Breck had suffered severe abuse at home along with other slanderous statements. The blog also claimed that Lewis had no intention of killing Breck and that he was planning to leave the country soon, but Breck saw his suitcases, freaked out, and fight ensued. All of this is bogus though, because if you got in a fight that accidentally led you to killing your friend, why would you take pictures and post them in group chats where everyone could see? Also, why would you bind up the person you accidentally killed with tape? They're dead, so they couldn't do anything. The second blog was posted on January 26, 2016, in response to the announcement of the BBC documentary about the murder, where the alleged Lewis criticized Lauren for accepting donations 2 days after the killing, and also tried to poke holes in Lauren's story of how she stayed in bed during the year after her son's murder, alleging that the woman had actually traveled all around the world doing press tours. He also wrote that he didn't send any of the pictures of the body to Breck's siblings. Lauren would also launch a lawsuit against Surrey and Essex police forces over the handling of their case, after the Independent Police Complaints Commission found that the operator and her supervisor during Lauren's 999 call lacked the knowledge of dealing with grooming concerns, and it was also found that there were previous reports on Lewis Dane that were never followed up on. There have been many documentaries released about this sad case over the years. A stage play was even written about it in 2019 that centered around the grooming incident as reported by Breck's friends and family. This next story involves a Minecraft PvP hacking war that resulted in players getting thrown in jail. Allow me to introduce you to the Apophis Squad. The Apophis Squad were a collection of swatters and hackers that organized together to cause chaos on the internet. Their reputation preceded them, as they are known for making threatening phone calls, sending false reports of violent school attacks through email, as well as launching DDoS attacks on websites. They also serve as a hacker-for-hire hitman agency of sorts, and allegedly can be paid to swat your online enemies. But to be frank, their main focus isn't money or providing services, it's simply to create chaos. And in 2018, a few members of the Apophis Squad would do just that, putting many lives in danger. Between January and August of 2018, members of the Apophis Squad went on a complete rampage, cyber attacking over 86 school districts across the United States and the United Kingdom, sending multiple threats using spoofed emails, which included the mayor of London, where they used the mayor's email to send threats about rocket-propelled grenades being planted under school buses and landmines located within the school that would go off if school wasn't canceled. Apophis Squad is an interesting bunch. They claimed they were not happy with the way that, quote, schools let these boys and girls dress and not worship Allah the God. They said that students needed to follow the rules or be killed. An email from them read as following: student report, staff only. Hello. A male student will be sent into your campus as you start the day. He will look normal, but what is in his bag is a bomb. The explosive that is in the 2 plastic bottles is called ANFO. It's a very powerful explosive. The point is that when you put this school on lockdown, this student will set off the bomb and will kill every student in the room and maybe the rooms next to it. It got so bad that a Twitter account claiming to be represented by the Apophis Squad asked their followers for cash in exchange for them swatting their schools so they'd have a day off. All of this insanity caused hundreds of schools to be on high alert and evacuated as parents were told to collect their children after they had received false bomb threats. Later, however, Sky News would find that a lot of these emails were being spoofed to look like they were being sent from a Minecraft PvP server called Velt PvP. This server is apparently a server with a highly popular game mode in Minecraft called Hardcore Factions, which from what I can understand is an intense sort of Minecraft PvP mode, where it's so competitive that like when guys get killed, they're willing to fucking hack each other to fuck each other over. And it's so insane that there's like rings of people doing this. I want to give a shout out to the YouTuber Law and Lore, who does a good job exploring how Minecraft was involved with the Apophis Squad. Basically, it was like an all-out online war between 2 rival Minecraft servers that started out as harmless trolling and then escalated into frantic carnage that put many lives in danger. Sky News was even able to get in contact with one of the anonymous users responsible for sending the hoax emails. When asked if he regretted frightening school children, the hoaxer replied, "It's horrible. It's not the nicest thing." He added that the reaction from schools showed failures on their part and understood that there was a chance that he would be arrested. When asked if he felt remorse, he said, "Mentally, kind of yes. That's human nature, but with the community you have to become very thick-skinned or you'll get exploited." He said that he wasn't going to lose sleep over it. The goal in turn was to make it look like the Velt PvP server was responsible for all the false reports and bomb threats, along with other rival Minecraft servers. In a statement, Velt PvP said, "We're being harassed by a group of cyber criminals that are trying to harass us in any way possible. We're extremely sorry for anyone who had to deal with this, but just know it's fake." This didn't stop here, however, as more crimes were committed, which included DDoSing and virtually vandalizing websites, basically holding the websites hostage and demanding Bitcoin as a ransom payment. Another member called the FBI field office in Omaha, Nebraska on several occasions, reporting that they were deploying Ebola or anthrax in the office, and also threatened to rape and kill the wife of FBI personnel. Squad also reportedly hacked and defaced a website from a university in Colombia, blasting a picture of Adolf Hitler on the website, holding a sign saying, quote, "You are hacked by Apophis Squad." The problem with attacks such as these is it's on the internet and it can be quite difficult to track down the culprits. But on this occasion, it seemed the hackers and swatters had left a massive trail of breadcrumbs leading right to them. You see, one of their last DDoS attacks was against the email website Proton Mail. And Proton Mail doesn't fuck around. They tracked all of the information of these guys' digital footprints down and sent them to respected agencies, such as the feds. On the morning of February 12, 2019, Apophis Squad member, 20-year-old Timothy Dalton Vaughn of Winston-Salem, North Carolina, who went by the name Wanted by Feds and Hacker R Us, was arrested. There was also a second member in the indictment, George Duke Cohen, who is 19 years old from Hertfordshire, United Kingdom, going by the name Digital Crimes. He had already been serving a prison sentence in Britain due to him making a false report towards an airliner traveling from London to San Francisco. Both had been charged due to the cybercrimes that were reported back in 2018. It seemed Vaughn had been caught bragging about his actions in a forum, stating that Apophis Squad had targeted over 2,000 schools in the United States and more than 400 in the United Kingdom. Duke Cohen was also alleged to be the one behind the Twitter account taking credit for the hoax emails on behalf of Apophis Squad. On April 28th of 2018, he tweeted that he was, quote, "planning to hit as many schools as possible on Monday. We hope that anyone just wants to have a day off or get out of that math test you have will email us any schools. We are working hard on getting 100,000 emails." Crazy thing is that George Duke Cohen had already been caught red-handed in 2018, and in turn was arrested, kicked out of school, and ordered not to get on the internet after making bail. But then he did it again and was thus arrested and again made bail. But that didn't stop him. Third time's the charm, and that's when he made the hoax threat towards the airlines and was finally arrested, this time kept in prison. Both Vaughn and Cohen were charged with conspiracy and 8 additional felony offenses, including making threats to injure interstate commerce and making interstate threats involving explosives. Vaughn is additionally charged with intentionally damaging a computer and interstate threat to damage a protected computer with intent to extort. However, this would not be all for Vaughn, as while searching his computers, the authorities found that he was in possession of nearly 200 sexually explicit images and videos depicting children, including at least one depicting the image of a toddler. In November of 2019, Vaughn pled guilty to 1 count of conspiracy to convey threats to injure, convey false information concerning use of explosive device, and intentionally damaging a computer, 1 count of computer hacking, and 1 count of possession of child pornography. In November of 2020, Vaughn was sentenced to 95 months for the CP possession and 60 months for the other charges. George Duke Cohen was only sentenced to 3 years in a UK prison in 2018, but faced possible extradition requests that reportedly were never pursued. His mother did say in an article from June of 2019 that, quote, "I am proud of the fact that he came clean. Prison is doing him good as he has to grow up." I'd like to again thank Delete Me for sponsoring today's video. Click the link in the description or scan the QR code to get 20% off. And well, you made it to the end. Let me know what you guys thought about this video down below in the comments section, and let me know who or what you want me to talk about next. I want to give a major shout out to my patrons. I appreciate you guys. Wavy Web Surf out. Peace.
You're not just running a restaurant, you're building something big. And Square's there for all of it, giving your customers more ways to order, whether that's in person with Square Kiosk or online. Instant access to your sales, plus the funding you need to go even bigger. And real-time insights so you know what's working, what's not, and what's next. Because when you're doing big things, your tools should too. Visit square.ca to get started.
And Mitch English said that I reminded him of the annoying next door neighbor type of person that guy named Skippy.
I've never had sex before. I'm a 24-year-old virgin, if you can imagine that. I'm 34 years old, and I'm still a virgin. And I'm now 37, still a virgin. Just so you know, you're in the presence of the real-life 40-year-old virgin. That you are in the presence of YouTube royalty. I am the real-life 41-year-old virgin. The fact that you're not wearing a bra has been so sexy. Virgin that lives in his parents' basement give dating advice. I don't think that I am an incel. No, thank you, sexy.
Scott Jessup, known online as Skippy, is an infamous cringe lord with a story of utter shame, embarrassment, and depression to go in tow. If you're a real saturated content freak, you might remember that I made some videos on Skippy a couple years ago, mostly examining his futile love quest date videos. And while his date videos exemplify the worst traits of Skippy, through the 15 hours of content I painfully consumed, there's a lot more beneath the surface that explain the utter catastrophe that is the I Am Skippy YouTube channel. But let's start from the beginning, and arguably the most successful time period for Skippy, when he appeared on multiple television shows highlighting his Mormon virginness.
So you kissed boys before?
Yeah.
You like kissing boys?
I do.
I'm sorry, that was a random comment on my part. I'm sorry. I've got something for you. But there's another boat that's in the harbor. You ready for this? Huh?
I don't know.
The Skippy in Love minisode showcases all the tropes of a casual skipster date. A woman clearly out of his league, who starts off interested but quickly switches up after interacting with him for an extended amount of time, a need to film said experience, and a propensity to love bomb and give gifts to the date in order to try and win them over. The problem is that Skippy isn't charming, and the gifts are typically cheap garbage trinkets used in a vain attempt to hypnotize her into finding him affectionate. Even after he gets brutally friend-zoned, he still can't really decipher his date's true intentions.
I just want to let you know right now, I think of you as just a friend.
Is it short, fat, white, and desperate in here, or is it just me? What the heck? I'm just like, so awkward.
I'm sorry, Scott.
It's okay, we're still friends. I'm not even sure right now if I'm totally going to the Cher concert with her. I tend to think we're probably not.
In his TLC Virgin Diaries episodes, we get a glimmer into the deranged life of Skippy. He lives in the basement of his mom's house, and we witness his obsession with branding himself as Skippy and as a virgin through different memorabilia that he adorns. As shown in the intro, the nickname Skippy wasn't given to him in a positive light. Someone saw him as annoying, and the name just stuck. The whole episode is littered with odd tropes and proclivities of Skippy that we'll discuss further as the video goes on.
Would you like to know how badly I want to have sex with a girl?
It's all I've been able to think about all last night.
Over here is my belly button lint collection.
It doesn't have to be giant, but can I give you?
Does that work?
Can I just give you a kiss, please?
Kitty, I don't kiss on the first date.
All Skippy ever has on his mind is convincing someone to do something sexual with him. I believe the videotaping of his dates is used as a tactic to pressure his dates, usually in order to give him a kiss, because otherwise the whole internet will see her turn him down. In other words, it's the It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia Dennis implication story, but much more forced and pathetic. When Skippy isn't doing these cringe dates, you'll usually find him working, and he's worked at a variety of different places over the years, most notably at different pizza locations. He even was on the news for tracking down a thief and bringing them to justice. But my personal favorite is him talking to his coworker about his friend turning 19 years old and whether or not she'd be into guys close to 40. Real smooth, Skipster.
Meet Skippy Jessup. He's a pizza delivery guy with a simple philosophy.
If you don't help someone that's in need, you're a jerk. Happy birthday. How old is she turning?
19 or 20, I can't remember.
And how old would you guess is too old? Like, what's her dating age range? What's her, youngest and what's the highest she would go? Certainly not 41. but like
I could
40.
see her going for 40.
Okay, yeah,
I could see her going for 40.
Yeah.
I mean, she goes for like high school, like 13, so I could see her going for 42.
Yeah. She
like, bats both ways.
Of course she's gonna date a 13-year-old. I mean, like, what hot 13-year-old boy, you know, is she not going to be interested in?
Skippy has this weird obsession with celebrities. Every year he goes to the Sundance Film Festival in order to try and get pictures taken with said celebrities. I think he thinks this is somehow networking and can somehow further his career with said connections. I mean, he's somehow been able to interview notable people such as Lady Antebellum, so I guess anything is possible.
Alright, do you guys want to add me to your Facebook? Here, I'll give you my fake business card, add me to your Facebook, okay? I see that. Okay, here. There you go. Smell that. And, hey, did it smells like Aquadigio. And Charles.
And we are Lady Antebellum. And Cable, we love you.
Oh, man, that was crazy, Heather.
That's the word that Paris used to describe me.
Delicious,
I asked her to marry me. I said, hey, Paris, you've never been to Utah unless you've had a Mormon boy propose to you. And I go, what do you think? And she goes, that's hot. And I go, am I hot? And she goes, delicious. I go, love you, Paris. On our wedding later.
I'd be remiss if I didn't show this picture of Skippy with Notorious P. Diddy. Really makes you wonder what Skippy knew that he didn't release to the world. But apart from celebrity worship, Skippy also tried his hand at doing stand-up. While I don't think it's great, it's definitely not the worst I've heard, and he even got some laughs from the crowd.
These t-shirts here. Now, if you are a size medium, I'm going to put it here on this desk, and if you're a size extra large, I'm going to put it, not desk, this table right here, and when they're gone, they're gone. But, so yeah, it has my face on it, I'm sorry about that. It says, WWSD, what would Skippy do? Or, I kissed a lot of frogs before I found my prince. And all of a sudden I realized, oh no, I'm one of the frogs, right? Because I kissed her. And so I replied, I fed a lot of bitches before I found man's best friend.
A lot of Skippy's early content has this sort of liminal feeling. It felt like I was transported back into a time that no longer and will never exist again. While I don't feel dread from it, after watching everything that would come post these videos, I definitely have some sort of reservation.
Just want to get your smiling face when you see, oh yeah, look at that. That really is pretty, isn't it? Whew.
At some point, Skippy moved out to LA and took on an internship at a local newscast station. I couldn't really figure out what he actually did while working there, because most of the time he was just filming his coworkers without their consent. However, for some reason, he got his own segment on air, where he chose to interview himself, and it goes exactly how you'd expect.
Again, self-proclaimed best intern on earth, Scott Skippy Jessup. Skippy, thanks for joining us. How are you today? Well, to tell you the truth, if I were any better, there'd be two of me. Good to hear. So tell us about yourself. What can I say? I'm your average 29-year-old Mormon virgin living in his parents' home who loves to meet celebrities.
I mean, he talks fondly about this internship in later years, but I don't really know what he or the company was getting out of him being there. In an attempt to make a heartwarming farewell video for someone who was switching jobs, Skippy asked other employees what their thoughts were. Half of them seemed turned off by the camera being shoved in their faces, and the other half Skippy didn't even know the names of, leading to an awkward 10-second discussion between the two.
Do you have any feelings about anything substantive right now? Like, what's your... No? You're good? Alright, what's your name again?
We finally reached the most notable point in Skippy's online career, his first date video. He got fired from his job and gleefully boasts about using a coupon to get a free meal and video out of this woman. Upon entering the car, she is clearly uncomfortable by the fact that Skippy opted to videotape their date.
Go out to lunch. We're going to eat at Rib City because I have a coupon there, and I just lost my job, so it's helpful for me to be doing dates that are inexpensive for myself, so we're gonna do it. I'll try and get her on camera. This girl's really, really pretty, like too cute for me pretty, so okay, so here she is. She's getting in the car.
Please don't tell me you're recording me right now.
By far the worst trait of Skippy's during these dates is his need to adjust and talk into the camera instead of directly to his date. It feels as if these dates are just transactional, and that he's just trying to stroke his ego in the moment so that he can go back home and stroke his pecker while rewatching the film. And trust me, I'm not the only one that catches on to this creeper vibe that he gives off. His date literally asked a male friend to show up to their date and try to alleviate the skeeziness that was going on.
So we've arrived at Rib City, and we have just gotten served our food.
Callie.
Yeah. Look, I'm on a date with her.